Okay, so that's great that you gave me a zap to get me back up, but I've got a hole in my chest. Also, was I or was I not dissolved in a barrel? No, I'm gonna, what? Was that all a dream? Me getting stabbed in the chest? Okay. What? She said welcome home. Yeah, the character that we play is supposed to be an ex-employee of this place that came back to try to set things right. This reminds me of, in Resident Evil, was it Resident Evil Village, where the guy's hand gets cut off and he just puts it back on and, like, pours some healing herbs on it and then it's fine? This reminds me of that.
Keep looking.
Okay, so we're in, like, a server room right now.
This is it. This has gotta be where they keep the backup.
Yeah, the RE thing made sense later, but at the time it was like, what?
Well now, this is a rather interesting turn of events.
Is that Dr. Sawyer? It's going to be continued till the next chapter, right? I knew it. I knew it. Yeah, that was the doctor that was just like a brain in a jar, and we killed his brain, we thought, in a previous episode. Which mean, okay, we toasted his brain. I am guessing the backup is him? Like because we already know they can copy neural stuff, right? Remember the machine we were in earlier where we relived the neural mapping for Huggy getting conditioned? I am thinking that there's a copy of the Doctor. I'm thinking it's a copy in the system of the mean Doctor that we fought in a previous episode. Dude, that scene where, okay, first of all, that whole train fight, that was so annoying. But that scene where he showed up and he killed Huggy and Kissy, and while killing them you saw that he had a Huggy arm, a Kissy arm, and a Mommy Longlegs arm on his body. Dude, that was fucked up. That was really messed up. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Just waiting to see if there's anything post-credits. Is this Temu Resident Evil? I mean, it's this generation's Goosebumps, right? It's like Five Nights at Freddy's. It's spooky stuff that is aimed to where a younger generation could play it. Okay, so is your character human or a toy? Plague, it is heavily believed, and Game Theory has a really good video on... You know what? Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Because I watched it not long ago. Just a second. That's the game trailer. Where is it? FNAF, that's one of here. Oh, I'll have to go to their channel. Game Theory YouTube. They have a really good video, and I watched it the other day that it sounds like some of you would appreciate it. Give me just a second. A mystery. Hold on, because it was one I watched recently. Okay, I think this is it. This is Poppy's story. Alright, so this is supposed to be everything that we know that Poppy went through in the Poppy Playtime franchise so far. Like, you know, from her being a child to, you know, turning into a toy and being happy with that because she was with her dad again, but then her dad died, and then the doctor started doing, like, evil experiments on her and stuff like that. So this explains a lot of it. But the person that you play in the game, it is heavily believed that you are one of the employees that worked at Playco, and you got a mail that was sent by Poppy, and it basically said, it was in episode 1, right? It was something like, you know, we know what you did, we need your help, you can come back and set things right. And so you come back to the place, and you end up going down this rabbit hole and seeing, like, all this crazy stuff. So how involved you were in it is unclear, but you are playing someone who used to be staff there, is basically it. Hang on, I do want to see. Let me open this up here. Give me a second. Going over to the YouTube side. Hi, YouTube chat. I really want to see that scene again. It freaking killed me like so many times. Okay, well, too far. All right, so after this. All right, and then we crash. Oh, no, that's when he stabbed us. Okay, so no, it was before the train. It was before the train. All right, right there. You're tearing this fan. No. With, like, close, so... Oh! Alright, so... Oh, God, I just want to see this again. So, the prototype was on the ceiling and impaled him from behind. And there's Huggy's missing arm, there's Kissy's missing arm, and there's an arm from Mommy Longlegs, which is the stretchy one. So it impales him, and there's the hands, throws him, there's like some fur back there, and then he turns, she makes a grab, he knocks her down, and then kills her. And then the stretchy arm from Mommy Longlegs shoots out. You jump over it. It's unclear what that arm was grabbing at. So we know that he can, like, put out the red smoke. I'm guessing that is because of a piece, like a component he took from Catnap. Because we know he took Catnap's corpse and Mommy Longlegs' remains, which was just her torso, her head, and one arm. We know he took those. But I didn't see any piece of catnap on him, but we have seen him emit the red smoke. It's invisible dudes! Break her down. Mommy Longlegs? Yeah. She was the antagonist of Chapter 2. Let me... Right here. This character. Hold on. Poppy, Playtime, Mommy... Okay, there we go. What was that real-life toy? It was something spaghetti. Like Sally Spaghetti or something like that. She's based off of that. It was like a Betty Spaghetti. Yeah, she's like a fictional version of that toy, and so like she's got stretchy, bendy limbs, right here, and she's like chasing you in Chapter 2, and you cut a corner really sharp, and she slides around the corner, and there's like this big like recycling machine. And one of her arms gets caught in it. And you kick the lever and turn it on, and it starts shredding and pulling her into it like a wood chipper. And by the time she dies, all of her is in the machine except her torso, one arm, and her head, and they fall to the ground dead. But later you see the arm of the prototype grab that and pull it away, and now we know what he did with that arm. Catnap, at the end of chapter 3, the prototype the prototype finished him off. It killed him and then took the body. And Catnap had the ability to spit out that red fog that was originally designed to just help kids go to sleep, but it ended up giving them all nightmares and night terrors. So it ended up being a major scandal, and the Catnap toys were pulled off the shelves. But this is like the horrific version of Catnap. But my guess is that the prototype kept the portion of him that put out the red smoke. Really confused by I mean, Game Theory will make some banger videos off this, but at the end of Poppy Playtime, we saw our character get impaled through the chest, then get dropped into a vat. Then we woke up getting resuscitated on the floor where we got impaled. There's so many BS ways they could do this, right? Where they could, like, we're dreaming. Like, we died or we're in a coma inside that vat, and everything after that is we're just seeing stuff in our head. 2, I said A and then 2. B, maybe the red smoke made us see our death because it makes you hallucinate, and we didn't really die there. And then the zap from the little guy snapped us out of it. And then after that, we were able to get up again and we're okay. That makes a little bit more sense. But that would mean that the Doctor being alive, or a version of the Doctor being alive, is real. When you were in the room with the valve, you were pacing around trying to figure out where it went, and there was an effect on the lights that looked off to me. Well, I think that room had tanks of that red gas. So, like, we were getting, we were in a room that was getting filled with the red smoke, and we were supposed to, like, you use the valve to fix it, but the timer was very lax. It took me a while to figure out what to do. I wonder if we get turned into a toy. Yeah, I was really wondering about that because I was like, oh, the prototype's got us. He's going to turn us into a toy, but then he dropped us into the vat, and I was just like, oh, he's done with us. What would the goop do to a toy like Poppy? I don't know. So the thing is there is the goop that is like a growth hormone or something, and then there's this then there's this other goop that if you're in it, it's made to counter the growth hormone. So it dissolves flesh. That's why all those times near the end, I had to use the magnet hand to, like, grapple over pools of the goo, because it's like acid. It would eat away at you. So I guess it depends on did he drop you in the growth hormone, or did he drop you in the neutralizer? And the whole point of us going to that computer backup thing at the end was we were trying to get the recipe for the neutralizing agent. We were trying to get that. However, again, though, if he did drop us into the vat, how did we suddenly get resuscitated on the train platform? That's really unclear. But yeah, I honestly was thinking, who's going to be the villain after this? Because, like, the prototype's the one they've been building up for a long time, and it's like, okay, well, if the prototype is the big bad, because hold on, let me show you something here. So at the end of the chapter 1, you beat Huggy. You think he falls to his death. You find out later he didn't. At the end of chapter 2, you kill Mommy Longlegs. At the end of chapter 3, you kill Catnap. At the end of chapter 4, you killed Doughy. At the end of chapter 5, okay, we got the prototype here. It's like, okay, so it was assumed that we were going to kill the prototype. But we didn't. We just fought him and then lost. So, it's like, oh, okay, so I guess there is, they certainly left it open for more. Maybe the Doctor? I don't know. The Doctor was I forget which chapter he was in. The Doctor was a boss in 3 or 4. And because he was remote controlling a bunch of robots, and then you find out he's just like a brain in a jar, and you kill the brain. And that's why I think that, like, I do firmly believe that one is dead. But we also know that they do that neural mapping thing because we relived Huggy's memories. So I'm thinking he neural mapped himself, and there is a copy of him in the computer. We find out in how long? It was 1 year between chapter 3 and chapter 4. And it was almost a year between 4 and 5. So about a year for the next one. Honestly, gotta hand it to their marketing team. Chapter 1 was free. That's how they get you. And then each of these are a year apart, which gives people tons of time to think about it and talk about it. And they always have a new line of merch with every release. When it comes to like that, they're knocking it out of the park. All right. Well, chat, the next thing that we do tonight, I guess for the sake of the YouTube playlist, so that is where we're going to end on Poppy Playtime until the next chapter is released.